The classic tale, if you give a mouse a cookie. I know, it feels legitimately like kindergarten. But, as we will see, I'm going to take this cover off because it's annoying. But, as we will see in reading this story, this book is not only super adorable, but is also a really, really, really good example of triggers and heaps. So, if you've not ever read this book before, y'all are in for a treat because I love it. So, this is If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. If you give a mouse a cookie. Yay! Let's see how good I am at reading upside down. Not that good because I'm not actually a kindergarten teacher. If you give a mouse a cookie. If you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to ask for a glass of milk. When you give him the milk, this book is new, he'll probably ask you for a straw. When he's finished, he'll ask for a napkin. Then he'll want to look in a mirror to make sure he doesn't have a milk mustache. When he looks into the mirror, he might notice his hair needs a trim. So he'll probably ask for a pair of nail scissors.
Nail scissors?
Well, he's a little mouse, and look at his little hair. It doesn't need big scissors. What? They're small scissors that you use for your nails. When he's finished giving himself a trim, he'll want a broom to sweep up. He'll start sweeping. He might get carried away and sweep every room in the house. All these pages are sticking together because this book is new. He may even end up washing the floor as well. When he's done, he'll probably want to take a nap. You'll have to fix up a little box for him with blankets and a pillow. He'll crawl in, make himself comfortable, and fluff the pillow a few times. He'll probably, thank you, I couldn't see it. He'll probably ask you to read him a story. So you'll read to him from one of your books, and he'll ask to see the pictures. When he looks at the pictures, he'll get so excited he'll want to draw one of his own. He'll ask for paper and crayons. He'll draw a picture. Look at the crayons, as big as he is. When the picture is finished, yeah, he's got mad artistic skills.
Whoa.
When the picture is finished,
Crayons comes up with a masterpiece.
yeah. When the picture is finished, he'll want to sign his name with a pen. Then he'll want to hang his picture on your refrigerator, which means he'll need Scotch tape. He'll hang up his drawing and stand back to look at it. Looking at the refrigerator will remind him that he's thirsty. So, he'll ask for a glass of milk. And chances are, if he asks for a glass of milk, he's going to want a cookie to go with it. Thank you, thank you. So, I told you that this is a strong example of triggers and heaps, which means, my dears, we can read it backwards.
Yay. Yay, yay, yay.
So, he asks for a cookie to go with his milk because he asked for a glass of milk because he was thirsty. Because he was reminded of being thirsty by looking up at the refrigerator after he hung his painting or his drawing on the refrigerator with Scotch tape that he asked for when he decided to hang his picture on the refrigerator after signing his name when he finished his drawing. That he drew with paper and crayons because he got so excited looking at the pictures in the boy's book, because he read a bedtime story to him after making a bed for him, after he got tired washing the floors, which he did because he swept the whole house, because he swept up after trimming his hair, which he did because he noticed that his hair needed a trim when he checked himself for a milk mustache after drinking his milk with a straw, which you're not going to have a milk mustache if you use a straw. Come on, mouse. And he asked for this straw after the boy gave him a glass of milk, which he asked for because the boy gave him a cookie. It works backwards and forwards. Or does it? What you are going to do now is I'm going to put you into groups of, how many did I say there were? 18 of us? Yeah, we'll do groups of 3. I'm going to put you into groups of 3. And you and your partners are going to get, unfortunately not a color copy, but a black and white copy of If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. And you are going to get a sheet like this, which has lines on it that say heap and trigger, or H and T. And you are going to analyze the triggers and heaps in If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. What is the most important thing to remember when we are analyzing triggers and heaps? You work backwards. You start at the end. So what I need for you all to do now is 6? Yes. Count off by 6, starting right here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
1.
2,
3. Here are 3.
Oh, 3.
4,
1.
6, 1, 2, 3, 4.
5.
Alrighty, find your people. 1s, find your 1s, 2s, find your 2s, 3s, find your 3s, 4s, find your 4s, 5s, find your 5s, 6s, find your 6s, etc., etc. Once you have found your people, come grab a copy of the story and come grab a trigger and heap handout, and we will talk about what we are going to do with it. Oh, that's us? So we'll do like 1s here, 2s and 3s here, 2s and 3s against the orange wall, 4s over there, 5s over here, 6s over here. 1s over here, 2s and 3s against the orange wall, 4s over there, 5s under comedy tragedy, 6s over here. Sixes over here. Make sure you come grab a copy of the story and the handout. You need both. Yeah, you just need 1 copy per group.
You're 6?
You just need 1 copy per group of the story and the handout. Yeah. Against the orange wall somewhere. You're a 2. Oh, okay. So then you guys need a handout. It's just 1 per group. Layla, honey, it's just 1 per group. Yeah. Okay. Every group should have 2 things. You should have a copy of the story, and you should have a trigger and heap analysis handout. Yes? Yes? Every group has one? Yes, yes, yes? No? Does anybody need one? It's not a rhetorical question. Please let me know. Do you need either of these handouts? No. Okay, great. So here is what you are going to do. You and your partners are going to figure out each of the triggers and heaps in this story. So I will give you the first heap. I will give you the first heap. So that first line is just an H. It's not an H/T. Why is that?
There's no trigger. Because there's no trigger before the last heap.
Of course there is.
Oh wait, there is. Well, I'm not sure.
Why is that first H just a heap and not a trigger?
It's the same thing. It's the end, right?
Does that heap trigger anything? No, it's the end. That's the end of the story. The story is always going to start on a trigger and always end on a heap. So, it ends on a heap, and that heap is what? What is the very last thing that happens in this story?
If he asks for milk, he's gonna.
What is the very last thing that happens in this story?
They eat milk and cookies.
He's going to want to ask for a milk.
He asks for a cookie to go with his milk. So that first H is the mouse asks for a cookie to go with his milk, or he asks. You can use pronouns. I don't care. So the last heap, the first thing that you should write on your paper is he asks for a cookie to go with his milk.
The last thing.
The very first thing that you should write on your paper is he asks for a cookie to go with his milk. That is the very last thing that happens in the story, meaning it is the very first thing that you write down. Why? Because you work backwards. You work backwards from the end of the story back to the beginning.
I honestly thought we were going to flip the page over and literally work backwards because there's much backwards.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So okay, why? Let's do the trigger for that one. Why does he ask for a cookie to go with his milk?
Because he asked for milk. Because he asked for a glass of milk. Because he was thirsty.
Okay, wait. Before that, why do you ask? Look at the story.
Because he looked at the fridge.
Why does he ask for a cookie to go with his milk?
Because he looked at the fridge and reminded him that he was thirsty.
Why does he ask for a cookie to go with his milk? What happens right before?
He asked for milk.
Yes, he asks for a glass of milk. So then the next thing you should write would be
He asked for milk.
he asks for a glass of milk. That is the event that triggers him asking for a cookie to go with his milk. And then you are going to think about, but why did he ask for that glass of milk?
Because he was thirsty.
And then you work backwards to the very, very, very beginning. Because we know that the last thing that you are going to write is the trigger, the whole thing that starts the whole story off. So how does the whole story start? The boy gives the mouse a cookie, right? So we know that we are trying to figure out all of the events between giving a mouse a cookie and giving him another cookie. All right. You have, let's say, until the end of the period to do this. That's like a half an hour. Not quite, but take the next until the end of the period to work on this with your partners, I should say. See if you can figure out how all of the events in this story lead up to the next one, going from the end back to the beginning.
Would it be like it'll fill the entire thing exactly?
It should, but if it doesn't quite, that's fine too, because you might break things up differently. You should have more than enough, let's say that.
Okay.
You might have slightly, so here. Oh yes, so but that's not the first thing that happens though, is it? So work backwards.
So he asked for milk. He asked for milk because he's thirsty.
And then think about why he was thirsty, and then move backwards. Is it backwards? So yes, you're ready here. So he asked for a glass of milk. So why did he ask for the glass of milk? Okay, boom. He's thirsty, yes. What do you mean? So that actually is up to you all. So you can make a decision like, is his being thirsty a separate event from his looking at the refrigerator and realizing that he's thirsty? Or is he thirsty because he looked at the refrigerator? It's up to you. Like personally, I think I separated them, but that's just how I did it. That doesn't mean that it's the right way to do it. There's a certain degree of sort of just personal opinion that's involved in this. Obviously, if you're missing something glaring, that's an issue, but stuff like that, there's room for difference. Okay, so what happens right before him asking? Wait. Okay, so the last thing that happens is not him asking for milk. What is the very last thing that happens in the story? He asks for a cookie to go with his milk. Yep. No. We were talking. No, I was talking about that. So the first thing